What's going on? I just want to give an update on the 351 240SX swap. Sorry, it's been a while. This car is getting really close to being done. I just got the roll cage finished installed. That's why I haven't done any updates in a while. I was hoping to do some process of getting the roll cage installed, but we installed like 4 roll cages in like just a matter of a few weeks, so we're super busy getting all those done. But overall, I'm really happy with the way the roll cage came out. It's looking really good. So all I got to do now is I'm just finishing patching up all the holes on the 240, and then finish installing the steering wheel and doing all that fabrication, brake braces, things of that nature, and then I can paint and start the final install on the interior with brake lines, wiring, seat, windshield. But I did realize I forgot to put a provision to put this car into reverse. So with the side shifter transmission, I did a remote shifter location to move the shifter back and over to the right side. And the way you're supposed to put this car in reverse is push down on this and then allow you to go in reverse. However, this is going to now be behind the dashboard, and I would have no way to access that, so I added this lever right here so I put the car into reverse. See the shift linkage there, very tight to get all that engineered in there. And then got to figure out a way to get my firewall sealed right there, so I just got to work on that, finish getting these holes patched up, and then I can start the final install. So I did actually try to fire up the car. So that's what all these wires are doing here. I got the ECU wired, and I just kind of temporarily installed it just to hear the engine run, make sure the engine was going to be okay. Running an EMU black standalone engine management system. And when I went to start the car, it was doing a lot of banging and popping, like the timing was incorrect. So I ran compression tests, did a lot of troubleshooting, was checking wires, trying to figure out why the car was not firing or sounding right, backfiring very bad. And it turns out that this has a 302 non-HO camshaft. So I bought the 351 out of a running truck that got rear-ended. The guy just had the engine rebuilt, and I was able to affirm that once I took the heads off. The pistons were brand new, you still see the hones. The engine sounded great in the truck, had no issues. But when I was checking compression and checking the firing order, I realized this engine had the firing order of 154266378, and it should have been 13726548. So I don't know how or why this guy put a very small 302 camshaft in. I was going to run just the factory 302 HO camshaft with the trick flow heads and then do a fully built race engine next year. But with these trick flow 11R heads, that 302 non-HO camshaft would have been a huge choke point of this engine. I measured the camshaft the best I could with the dial caliper, and I was getting like maybe 0.3 inches of lift at the lifter. I don't even think it was that much. So I decided to do an upgrade. So I went with Donati. This is a 711 hydraulic roller camshaft, and then I'm doing solid roller lifters, which is totally fine. Just the hydraulic roller camshaft has less lift than a solid roller camshaft. This will eventually get a solid lifter camshaft, but with factory 351 pistons and these trick flow heads, you're limited on how much lift you can use before you have piston to valve clearance issues. So I just did a lot of research online, and this is about the biggest camshaft you can run with the 11R heads. I do have a borescope, so once I install this camshaft, I'm not going to pull the heads and clay it. I'm going to just install the camshaft and slowly rotate the engine with the borescope, make sure I got clearance. You want about 0.1 inches of clearance with a higher RPM motor. This will just be living between 3,000 and 6,000 RPM, so I want to make sure I got good clearance. But additionally, I'm going to retard the camshaft 4 degrees with a timing chain. That gives you even more intake valve to piston clearance, and it also gives you about 200 more RPM on the top end. Use a little bit on the bottom end, but this car is not going to see below 3,000 RPM, so I'm not too worried about that. So hopefully in my next video, I'll be tearing this engine apart just a little bit. I'm just going to take the timing cover off and start installing the camshaft. I'm going to leave the oil pan on, try and leave the engine in the car. We'll see how that goes. There's just 4 bolts, and this whole front end will come off. I'm going to have to disconnect my oil cooler lines. Try not to make a mess with that because the engine is already primed. The engine did fire up. It sounded good, aside from the backfiring. I idled it for about 2 seconds, and it was backfiring out the carb and everything with the wrong firing order. But other than that, it sounded good. There was no crazy lifter noises or anything like that. Spun bearing noises, rod knock. So I think the engine will be good. Just going to use a little bit of camshaft. So that is where I'm at as far as this goes. But on that, I just got to get a drive shaft made. I'm doing new rear over fenders just to match the front. This car is going to get painted. First drift event is in about a month and a half. So I'm trying to get this car all together, get a test day in before that. Got the 488 in there. It's all ready to rock and roll. I just need to get a drive shaft made. Got tires mounted. Got a whole stack of tires, so I'm ready to go as soon as this car fires up. Hopefully I get a test day in, because the first drift competition I think is May 16th. Running Accelera 651 tires. I got some 100 tread wear tires and 200 tread wear tires. So we'll just kind of see how this engine can turn those 2 different tires. So I feel like I'm going to use 100 tread wear tires on smaller tracks and the 200 tread wear tires where you're doing 4th gear, 100 mile an hour entry bank tracks. But it'll be my first time running the Accelera, so we'll see how those go. First I gotta get this thing finished up. So yep, if you have any questions or want to know anything about it, let me know. And hopefully I'll do a video next couple days of getting the camshaft.